Hi knitters, I'm Vivian. Welcome to The Guilty Knitter. I'm really happy to be back taking another video and to share with you some of my works in progress, my one finished object, and a little technique that I videotaped and to share with you. Yeah, that's about it. Maybe I'll talk about a couple of podcasts that I've come across that I really like. And that's it. It's going to be pretty short today because I don't have a whole lot to share. But the weekend coming up was going to be really busy, so I knew I wouldn't have time if I didn't grab the opportunity today. Because today and tomorrow are my weekends this week. On the weekend, I have 2 rehearsals and 2 concerts, so I'll be busy. But oh, by the way, before I do start, I want to thank you for coming back, and I've really appreciated some of the feedback I've gotten on the podcast. And I've started a Ravelry group, so if you feel like joining me there, that would be terrific. I would love it if you could introduce yourself and let me know who's watching. I know there's a few people, so I'd really appreciate hearing from you. Okay, so my first thing is this pair of my one and only finished object, and I had 2 motivations for finishing and starting and finishing this pair of simple house slippers. The first motivation was that I really needed a pair of slippers because mine were all falling apart, and I thought, well, there's no way I'm going out to buy yarn for this project. So I thought, what am I going to do? I am going to visit my stash, which I did, and I couldn't find enough yarn to do both of them exactly the same. Well, I probably could if I really tried, but anyway, I wanted to use up some scraps. So what I did was I took this gorgeous yarn, which is Garn Studio Opal Play, and I think it's discontinued. I'm not quite sure what the colorway is, but anyway, it's no longer available. But this was a gift from my daughter from 2015, I guess. So not that long after I started knitting, maybe a year and a bit later. And I used this for my very first pair of socks for myself, which was the Broken Seed Stitch socks, which is a pattern, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a free pattern, but I'm not quite sure. But it's a quite nice little pattern. It's called, Broken Seed Stitch socks. Yeah, where did I put that down? Anyway. Yeah, that's by Hannah Levaniemi or something. I have to look it up. Yeah, so I used this and I stranded it with a pink that really matched this pink in here, and they turned out very pink, as you'd be like. You didn't really see the blue or the gray that much, but anyway, it's. I was happy to use up some more of it, and I feel like it's like a magic ball of yarn. Look how much I have left, and I finished these. I used that yarn for the foot part of both these slippers, but I double-stranded one with a darker gray and one with a lighter gray, so you can see the difference there. Quite a big difference, but they still sort of match. I call them my fraternal twin slippers. And here you can see where I ran out of the light gray and had to use a bit of blue, and that's a Cloudborn yarn that I had left over from my humble socks. Anyway, so that's the story of my beautiful house slippers, and I'm very happy to have them. There's an easy pattern. It takes, if you worked at it, you could probably do it in an evening or 2 evenings. And it ended up taking me more than that, but distractions. So that was my one finished object, and I will show you this other finished object, which was a gift to me. I did not make this. This was made by my daughter, Erica, who's a very good knitter, as you can see. She did beautiful work on here. She kind of made up this pattern, and that explains why it really rolls because she was a kind of an inexperienced knitter. Don't get me wrong, Erica, you're a beautiful knitter, but she you know, she just added this lace pattern that she found on probably on YouTube or whatever on the sides, but not realizing that if it's all based on knit, it's going to roll. And that's what happens. But it is a beautiful, warm alpaca scarf, and it's a gorgeous color. I love it. So I thought I'd throw it on for a bit of a splash of color. And I have this is a sweater that I made last year, I guess. Yeah. This is by, gosh, now I don't remember. Maybe I'll add it down here, what the details, but I'm not talking about this. This sweater is was a kind of a disaster. It's way too big for me. I still wear it. I still wear it around the house mostly. It's just a nice thing to throw on. It's warm and cozy. And it's made of Debbie Bliss merino. Yeah, merino superwash wool. So that's that. It's going on. My whips. Yes, well, I'm not going to show you anything about my Cathedral Grove cardigan because it hasn't made any progress. Zero. So it's in the same state it was two podcasts ago. So that's that for that. I do want to show you this little sock that I'm making from my son Travis's girlfriend, Allison, who loves yellow, as I think I mentioned before. This is all very well. It's looking great, I guess. There's a couple mistakes in there, but I wasn't going to frog back just for those couple of mistakes. However, I was worried about the size, and I think it will be too small, so I'm going to frog back and add like half, maybe 1 centimeter or a little bit more to the foot, because I have a size 10 foot. She has a size 8 foot. It doesn't go anywhere near my foot. It's way too small. And so at work, I asked around to see if anyone had a size 8 foot they would try on, who would try it on. And a friend of mine has a 7.5 foot, so she tried it on. And it just fit her. In fact, it was a little on the tight side. So I thought, no, I've got to make it a little roomier than that. So unfortunately, I have to frog back. Oh well. It gives me another chance to do a better job on the heel. This was my first time trying the Sockmatician German short row heel. The Sockmatician has a blog. If you're not aware of him, has a podcast on YouTube called The Sockmatician, I believe. He's a great knitter, and his name is Nathan Taylor. He lives in London and is I should go in my podcast section, but anyway, because I'm doing his sock, I'll just mention it. He's really into double knitting. If you ever want to get into that, he's the place to go. That's the place to go. So anyway, frogging is in my future for this sock, but only down to here. I'll just have to redo this dang heel. I didn't find it, I found it quite easy to follow, but I'm not quite sure why he does it the way he does it, but it's a little bit different than the German short row heel that I've been using. I just was substituting German short rows in a wrap and turn heel. It's just a slightly different thing that he does. Anyway, it works. Seems to make a nice heel, so I might try it again. And this is this pattern is the Vanilla Latte sock pattern by Virginia Rose Jean. I think it's free on Ravelry. It's super easy. It's just a very simple pattern. And yeah, and this is Hedgehog Fibers, as you probably recognize, in the Banana Legs colorway, because she loves yellow. Okay, next work in progress. This one is my magnum opus right now. Thank you to Christy Glass for introducing me to this pattern. I keep meaning to mention that, and I keep forgetting that that's where I got the idea to do this pattern, was from her finished object video of this very same pattern, and she did a beautiful job. So I decided to try it, and I am enjoying it no end. And you know, these bobbles, which are actually teardrop pattern, teardrop motif. They take quite a bit of extra knitting, but it's super fun. It's super fun to make them. So I'm just really enjoying it. I did make a mistake on one of them, but I don't know, like you really can't see it. I don't know what I did, but I just kind of picked up a stitch at some point, and I thought I'm carrying on, and that's what I did. It seems to work. It seems to be okay. Now the next I've got those. So these are my three of the colors that I'm using, and I'm going to add. I finally decided that instead of buying any more yarn for this, which has already cost me a fortune, because I'm using these beautiful Julie Aslan yarn, I'm going to add. Okay, I bought this, which I don't think I showed you last time. Not sure, but this is the Julie Aslan Lisu DK in her Sauge Argenté colorway, which means silvered sage, I guess, or silvery sage, which I think is the perfect name for this because it's kind of bluish, kind of greenish, and lots of gray, and I couldn't resist it. And even though I don't know if it's the perfect thing, but this kind of reminds me of Neapolitan ice cream for some reason. Even though this is not the color of vanilla ice cream, but it still reminds me of it. So, and so the next little section is going to be a repeat of this color, and I really don't have very much of it. I only have this much left. So I'm either only going to do 2 rows of it. I'll see how it goes. I probably only have enough for 2 rows. It's supposed to be 4 rows, I think. So we'll see. We shall see. If I can't get more than 2 rows out of that, then I'm going to add 2 rows of this, and so it'll be a little striped section, which means I'll probably run out of this before the end, which is a bit sad. But it's okay, because what I'm going to do is just, when I run out, that's it, I'm going to stop. Because I can't, I'm not going to, I'm not going to buy any more yarn. It's crazy. This is a lot of yarn already. It's going to be so cozy. I love it. Got my tea here in my knitting fuel mug. When you talk a lot, you sure need to wet your whistle once in a while. My mom used to use that term, wet your whistle. You don't hear that very often. Okay, so let's see. What more to tell you about this? I don't know. Maybe it's because it's a DK weight yarn. I find it very easy to work with this yarn. It's gorgeous. It never splits. It's cushy. It's beautiful. It's merino and silk. I mean, I don't know. It's so great. So I definitely would highly recommend it. If you want to treat yourself to something fun, buy yourself some of this yarn and go for it. And this is the brown that I'm using for the edge and the in-between stripes. You see that? It's just it's Andean Eco yarn by Estelle. It's kind of a rustic yarn, but I think it's going to make a nice contrast. I think it's going to be super nice. I'm really hoping anyway. And I guess that's about all I have to say about that. It's just a fun knit. I would highly recommend it, and I'm really excited. You know, what I love about, one of the things I love about knitting is getting to wear my knits afterwards. I mean, I guess that goes without saying, you would think. But you wouldn't believe how many, I've met 1 or 2 people, which is more than 0, who don't wear their knitting, who love to make things, and then they either give them away or, well, I guess they just give them away, I don't know. But that they rarely actually wear their knits. Like, they either are too hot to wear sweaters and shawls, or they just, I don't know. It just seems crazy to me because because that's the fun, of wearing your knits, putting them around your neck, and feeling the love that you have made. Basically, you've made this thing with the love in your heart, and it's a gift to yourself. And to me, that there's something so beautiful about that. And I hope you feel the same way. I think my favorite thing that I've made so far is my son-daughter sweater with the pink one with the yoke here by Diana Walla. who actually works at Espace Tricot just up the street, I believe. I think she still works there. Anyway, it's my favorite thing that I've ever made because it fits me perfectly. It's just so cozy. I love the yarn. It's not stretchy. It's always going to stay the right size. Not like this thing, which has stretched like crazy because of its superwash. Superwash is, you gotta be really careful when you make a superwash sweater to not make it too big because it will stretch. So I'm just doing a little knitting just to get into it while I'm blabbing away here. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna insert, since I'm telling you about the my girl's best friend shawl. For some reason I can never remember exactly the name of that shawl. I will tell you, I'm going to insert right here a little video showing a technique that I discovered when making these little teardrop shapes. So you check that out right now. Hi knitters, Vivian from the DLT Knitter podcast. I am just going to show you a little trick that I discovered while knitting A Girl's Best Friend shawl by Isabel Kramer, which is this beauty right here. Yeah, so I'm not going to give you away the pattern because it's a paid pattern, but I'm pretty sure this, this is not the only place you're going to see this, so it's not. I don't think I'm giving anything away. What you do to make this hole is you knit into one stitch 5 times. It's the same way you would make a bobble or many other fancy stitches like that stick out like that, I guess. Anyway, so this is a teardrop pattern, but it would be the same for a bobble because I just recently did bobbles, so that's why it triggered the idea to make this little video. Okay, so what it is that I've been fooling around with Norwegian knitting. I'm a continental knitter normally, but I do a lot of other things, and I've been fooling around with Norwegian knitting. And in this case, I feel that Norwegian knitting is something you could try if you're already a continental knitter, because this is just a little trick. Because with Norwegian knitting and purling, the yarn is always on this side, this far side of this needle, of the left needle. So, and in this case, it kind of saves you a step or two. So here we go. You'd be knitting first stitch normally, then you go under from back to front, grab the pink yarn, that's your first purl, go under front to back, grab the pink yarn, that's your second knit, then back again from back to front, grab the pink yarn, pull it back, and then from front to back, grab the yarn for your 5th stitch. So that's 5 stitches into 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Now I'm going to show you that again. So you see that if I were knitting normally continental, to do this, I would knit, and then I would move the yarn and purl, and then move the yarn and knit, right? So I just think this is a little trick that you might enjoy. Okay, so knitting, then come from the back to the front, grab that pink yarn, pull it through, and grab the pink yarn again from the front to the back, go from the back to the front for your purl, and again for your knit. So that's it. And I'll try and show you how it can go quite fast, but it's a little bit tricky because I'm trying not to lose sight of. You see what I'm saying? It's once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty quick. And I'm not a fast knitter particularly. Okay, happy knitting. Bye. Okay, now I'm back, and the next thing I want to talk to you about is, actually, I don't really have much. I can show you what I've done on my 3-color cashmere shawl, which is not a lot, but I haven't given up on it at all. I definitely am going to finish this thing. And I think I might give it away. I don't know. I haven't quite decided. I love it, but do I need it? Not really. Yeah. So I'll see, but I really do love it. So I've been working away at this section very, very slowly. I keep adding like a row every 5 days or something, which is not much. So I'm sort of tempted to cut that off, like to just do maybe 20 rows. I'm almost at 20. I think I'm at 18 or something. It's supposed to be 30. It's crazy how blue that looks in the viewfinder, but it's a really beautiful purple called Purple Rain by Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles. Anyway, that's my dilemma, whether or not to do 30 rows or cut it back. Just stop knitting after 20, because I'm afraid I'm not going to get it done because it's just so long. The rows are endless. The problem is that I'll have the same problem as I did with my best friend's shawl, because it's yeah, I'll have to figure out. Let's say if I stop after 20 rows, that'll mean that instead of adding 90 stitches in this section, I would have only added 60, I believe. That's my math. My math is correct. So then when I get into the lace section after, I'll have to do some math to figure out how I'm going to fit the lace pattern into fewer stitches. I think I can do that, and I think it's good for me to do that. So I'm not afraid of that little bit of calculation. As a knitter, it's important to have some math skills. Hopefully you don't need a whole lot, but you do need some. Okay, so that's that. It's not going away, and I'm going to finish it eventually. As I said, my Cathedral Grove sweater is hibernating a little bit over there. Taking it easy. It'll be back. I just finished watching Christy Glass's interview of her husband, Jason, I think his name is, for her podcast in honor of Manch, M-A-N-C-H, which is her March celebration of male knitters, which I think is pretty funny. But it's great. It's a great idea. Anyway, so she did this sweater for her husband. It's a cardigan and red and black and white, and I like it. I think it's gorgeous, but her husband, not so much. So it made me think, wow, maybe I am making a big mistake making that cardigan. I don't know. Maybe it's too hot. He probably won't wear it, which is kind of sad. Will be a bit sad. But like I said, if he doesn't wear it, I probably will. So we'll see. I think it'd be fun. I mean, it's fun to make it even as just a work of creativity, because it's beautiful. I love doing the cables and all that. I just have to get back into this groove of it. But right now, not the groove, the groove, you get it, huh? Right now, this is all I want to knit on right now. So, yeah, I will get it done at one point. I wish I had more time to knit, or I was a faster knitter, or something like that. I do knit a lot, believe me. I knit probably far more than I should, because I should, as I usually say in my intro, I'm a musician who finds herself knitting when she should be practicing, right? And I do have some challenging things coming up, so I can't be neglecting my practicing too much. But anyway, so that's that. That's it. That's for my whips. That's it. I did go out and buy a couple of skeins of yarn this week at the Maison Tricotée up on Guilford in Montreal, which is a lovely little yarn shop. I must give it a plug, because if you want to go up there and you can sit and knit, you can browse. They don't have quite as much stock there as they would at Espace Tricot. Espace Tricot is like, it's got so much, and they really stuff a lot of yarn in there. But it's a smaller space in one way because of all the yarn that they have. There's nowhere to really sit except on Friday afternoons. So La Maison Tricotée has a different sort of philosophy, and they have a couple of places to knit, and you can just pop in and sit down for an hour, and you don't need to. they don't really have anyone there specifically to help you with projects, but I think they would. I've never asked for help there, but I imagine they would help you if you needed help. And they certainly will help you choose yarn, and you can buy a cup of coffee while you're there and some cookies. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, it's a lovely spot. I recommend it. And let's see what else. Next thing, yeah, I am going to just talk to you a little bit about the podcasts, my favorite podcast, which I want to make this into a bit of a element of my podcast, is talking about ones that I've found that I like. And I'm going to do a little bit of research because I'm obviously going to run out of new ones to talk about after a while. So I'm going to have to start looking at other podcasts, which is going to be good for me because I love them, and I'll be happy to discover new ones that I like. One that I really like, but she doesn't podcast too often, is the Celtic Cast On with Kelly. She's I just really like her attitude. She's a terrific knitter. She does some quilting, so she talks about that. And I love quilts, but I don't quilt, but hopefully one day. Yeah, so she's just really pleasant. She has a couple of young children and a dog, and she does these little videos that she adds that sort of demonstrate her rural life. She lives in New Brunswick, and anyway, I recommend that, the Celtic Cast On. I'll put it down underneath the video for you to check out. And what else? Oh yeah, so Christy Glass, one of my favorites, because she does such mostly very interesting interviews. They're not always totally fascinating to me, but a lot of them are excellent. And I just like her attitude. I like her. Yeah, so Christy Glass is one of my favorites. And she introduced me to a new podcast. She introduced me to the Knitting Monk, as you may have already seen. If you check out her latest interview, I believe it's her latest, then she interviewed the Knitting Monk, and he's really interesting. I mean, I'm not religious at all, and far from it. I don't even believe in God, to be honest. But I really liked his philosophy and his attitude. And I mean, you don't have to believe in God to admire his kind of way of thinking and his journey that he's on. It's interesting. It's very interesting. So I would definitely check it out. And he wants to. I did watch one of his episodes as well, and he talks about sewing and knitting. So that's, I mean, less interesting to me because I don't sew, but maybe I will someday. I mean, I used to sew. It's been a long time. I don't even have a sewing machine anymore. One of these days, maybe I'll get another one. But maybe when I retire, when I have more time for these things. So that is to say, he's very good, and I like his attitude. And he lives at this monastery in upstate New York in the Hudson Valley. It's just gorgeous. Is that upstate New York? I don't know. Hudson Valley, anyway. And we got a nice tour of the premises, and I thought, I'd want to go there. I'd want to hang out there, go for a retreat. Sure. I might even go to church. Maybe not. But I would knit, and I would hang out and be quiet. It would be so nice. It looks great. Anyway, that's something to check out. And what else? Oh yeah, another one that I like, and I guess I'm really into kind of local Canadian podcasts. There's something about going for, I don't know, the solidarity. Maybe, no, I don't know. Maybe we just think alike. But this is another Canadian podcast, Little Big Knits, which has Selma as the host, and she's terrific. Wonderful knitter too, and she does a lot of. She brings a lot to the podcast because she talks about how she alters or modifies the patterns that she does, and I like what she's knitting a lot of the time. And anyway, she's great. So Little Big Knits, check that out. That's it for today, and I really appreciate you being here. Please come back. Press like, press subscribe if you haven't already. Join us at the Ravelry group. If you need to find me, I am at Guilty Knitter on Twitter. Sorry, not on Twitter. On Instagram. And I am OSMVIV, OSMViv on Ravelry. And on Twitter, I think. But I don't go on Twitter very much. Yeah, so if you need to get a hold of me, that's how to do it. And please come back. I hope you enjoyed your time with me. Happy knitting. Bye. The sun is shining, not a cloud in the sky. What a beautiful day. The birds are singing and so am I. What a beautiful day. I'd like to keep this moment for the rest of my life, but I know there'll always be a little toil and strife. What a beautiful day, such a beautiful day.